Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which means it's time for another one of our weekly viewer specials. If you're new to the series / channel, first of all, welcome. And second of all, what we do here every Monday is showcase games from you all, the viewers. If you're interested in submitting a replay to be featured here on the channel, you can do so by heading down to the description below. You're going to find an invite link to our Discord server, the Hexlexplex. From there is a channel called Viewer Special Submissions, and there you can drop your 9-digit player ID. That way I'm able to see your publicly saved replays. Please do make sure those replays are set to public. That way I am able to view them. But if you have a specific game you want me to see, also be sure to leave either your opponent's name, the date and time, a screenshot, something so that I know that's the game you want me to watch. But yeah, we've got some awesome submissions for this week, so let's get right on into it. Okay, first duel for this video comes to us from Almic, and Almic has a game with a canine variant that I haven't checked out yet, so I'm pretty eager to see this one. And this is going to be Canine with Cyber Dragon. Of course, it's pretty easy to see the synergy here with the Cyber Dragon having some pretty core level 5 monsters. I actually also pulled this Royal Cyber Dark Worm during the anniversary, so who knows, maybe if this deck is cool enough, I'll have a reason to give it a bit of a test spin. But yeah, I've always really liked Cyber Dragon as an archetype. I just haven't really had a chance to really check it out for myself. And it looks like our opponent is going to be on Fiendsmith Mitsurugi, so let's see how we're able to do here. It's also really cool that the Canine engine gives your Cyber Dragon deck a lot more options for things to do going first, instead of, you know, sometimes you might think of Cyber Dragon as more of a going second deck, but okay, here we've got Jokel and Roy with the Emergency as well. We're going to lead with Cyber Emergency, adding the Cyber Dragon core. We're then going to normal summon core, and that'll let us add the Cyber Dark Realm. Cyber Dark Realm, upon activation, is going to add Cyber Dark Claw, which can then activate to discard and add another copy of Cyber Dark Realm. Getting an extra normal summon for the Cyber Dark Chimera, we're then going to link away the core into Clockwork Knight. Now Clockwork Knight can activate Sending Away Realm in order to add a copy of Clockwork Knight, the continuous spell. Alright, now these two are going to get linked away into Cleafort Genius. And then Cyber Dark Chimera is going to send Worm. Worm's going to activate, sending the Hers, adding back the Realm from the graveyard. Now Hers gets to activate, adding the Cyber Dragon itself. Alright, here's Clockwork Knight, and then we're going to activate Power Bond as well, using the Cyber Dragon in our hand with the Cyber Dark Worm to summon a Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. That'll pop the Clockwork Knight, which will then activate, letting us discard in order to add the Therion King Regulus. That's going to put a negate on our board here, but it looks like they're going to use Druid Swarm at this stage in order to banish that Cyber Dragon out of our graveyard, which could prove to be a bit troublesome if we need to use it in order to make some future plays, right? Like as a fusion material. Alright, Rampage is going to dump the Nosh, and now we're going to go Jokel plus into Roy, seeing how the Canine engine is going to benefit. Oh, we can summon to the two Cleafort Genius zones, and that'll let us add the Disa Blaster as well as Lantern. Disa Blaster being another level 5 machine monster for us to combo with. We can use them to go into the Cyber Dragon Nova, which of course can then pivot into Infinity, adding yet another negate to our end board, as well as the ability to simply attach the Druid Swarm as a material, and now we don't have to deal with it. Alright, looks like we're going to make the Imperial Princess Hunquery, which is a very, very tricky monster that here we're just using to revive the Cyber Dark Worm, but can also be used to potentially put some, you know, quote-unquote floodgate effects onto your opponent's field. We can use Lantern to revive the Jokel, and now we're going to overlay the two of them. Here's the Ripper. Now Ripper gets to activate. We're going to detach in order to add Izana. And we get to set Force Release because they use an effect from hand. So we're going to take a little bit of damage from Power Bond, but all in all, this is a really, really solid end board. We have a couple of negates, as well, 3 negates actually. We have the Ripper as well, and then we have the IP Masquerena, and of course we have the Pop plus Hand Rip from Force Release into Werewolf. So we definitely see how the Canine Engine has greatly buffed the Cyber Dragon deck. It's like they're going to lead with pre-prep for Habakiri plus Mirror. Okay, here's the Habakiri. We're going to Chain Ripper. Very, very good use for that. Always good to use the Ripper early if possible. That way you can have the forced release ready to destroy a card as soon as you need it. We could destroy the Lurie if we really wanted to. I mean, we know that 2 of the cards in their hand are Habakiri, Mirror, and then 3 unknown cards, so if we're able to stop the Fiendsmith line, then we only have to really deal with the 3 unknown cards in their hand. Okay, so it looks like we're going to go Forced Release here to pop the Lacrima, which means even if they revive Engraver, they won't have enough bodies, and then we can also look at their hand with Werewolf. Alright, yeah, I'm eager to see what they're working with here. Okay, so they have Ash Blossom, Night Sword Serpent, and Crossout Designator are the other 3 cards we don't know about. So yeah, they're not really able to make any plays with what they've got here. We're going to take away their Mirror just to really make sure of that, but yeah, this is all completely fine. Alright, looks like they're going to try to use Requiem plus Engraver to get rid of some of our stuff, but we're simply going to fire off the IP Masquerena, linking it away with the Cleavefort Genius in order to make the SP Little Knight. And then Little Knight can banish the Engraver before it has a chance to activate its effect to destroy one of our cards. Or send it, rather. Looks like they're going to go normal summon Night Sword Serpent and then pivot into the Typhone Sky Crisis. But we can use Izuna here, and Sky Crisis is not a quick effect, so it's not like they can, you know, bounce mid-chain. And even if they go to Ash Blossom, yeah, we can just use Little Knight to bounce out the Sky Crisis and not have to worry about it at all. And yeah, we know the other cards in their hand are Crossout Designator and the Habakiri, so that's all they've got. And we've got a pretty clear path to lethal already set up on board. I think we do just have lethal on board, right? Oh yeah, definitely. Ah, well, okay, here, they are going to end up using the Lacrima effect in order to revive Requiem. But that shouldn't be that problematic here. We're just going to use the Ash Blossom against it. And now that they're officially out of stuff to do, we can go to Battle Phase and just swing in. Wow, that was really good. I was pretty thoroughly impressed by that. K9 Cyber Dragon, yeah, definitely seems like yet another excellent variant of the K9 strategy. Thank you for showing that off, Elnick. Let's go ahead and go into the next game. Alright, this next game comes to us from Dirty Harry, aka 2legit33 over on the Discord server, who is playing Nouvelles in combination with Mitsurugi. Cool stuff to see. Yeah, the Ashlan U1000. I've been using this myself recently in K9 Mitsurugi. Very, very handy Link 2 monster that is seeing a lot more play now that, of course, the Mitsurugi archetype is out. And it looks like we are going to be up against K9 Vanquish Soul, the classic big bad of the current meta. We're going second, and 5 turns is quite a bit of a back and forth, so let's see how this one ends up panning out. Of course, going second against K9 Vanquish Soul does mean we have a high likelihood of having to contend with their plays. Oh, no, sorry, I thought we were going first for a second. No, we're going second, so we'll definitely have to contend with whatever their plays are. But we have a draw unlocked, but we're just going to stop quite a few of those. They're going to go Case for Noroi, and then Izuna can dump Lupus. Noroi is going to activate sending Case to look at our hand, which contains Saji, the Questionnaire. Oh my god, I butchered the shit out of that, I'm so sorry. Pre-prep and Readying of Rites as well, which can add the Raven. Looks like our opponent's got a bunch of stuff to do despite the fact that they are under Droll. They've got the Jokul with the Holly Sue. They're going to use the Rock in order to add back the Holly Sue and then overlay Jokul plus Lupus for the Nosh Knight. So yeah, in spite of our duel and Lockbird, unfortunately for us, they are still going to end on multiple negates, and that Holly Sue in hand could very easily end up being live as well. We don't really have any, or they don't really have, rather, any Vanquish Soul monsters to add back from the graveyard. But if they're holding on to like a Raisin in hand, that could potentially be pretty bad for us. Finding another Droll might not be the worst thing I hear, actually. We're going to use not pre-prep, I'm so used to saying pre-prep. We're using regular prep for Miracle Raven, Readying of Rites for another Miracle Raven that'll also give us a token. Now we can pen to scale one Raven, tribute the token, and then ritual summon from the Pendulum Zone the Miracle Raven. Now we're going to overlay on top of the Miracle Raven, and that's going to give us the Super Star Slayer Typhoon Sky Crisis. This means the Umbral Horror is no longer live. We can bounce away the Ripper and then battle over the Rock of the Vanquisher, leaving the Umbral Horror Masquerade up, which will then get destroyed by the CXC's Notch Knight. That's something that's really easy to forget because, you know, a lot of the time, the Umbral Horror Masquerade, the real threat of it, is going to stop the opponent's plays. But if the opponent, or I guess if in this case, if we, you know, are able to survive through the turn, then it will get destroyed. Alright, looks like they have got Dr. Madlove and Caesar Valius here. Not able to battle over our Saji. They're going to go Vanquish Soul start and then Joko reveal Holly Sue. That's pretty rough. They still have that Lupus in the graveyard as well, which is going to get summoned here. Alright, here's the Ripper. Thank God for that second draw on Lockbird. Alright, Brock gets to activate, adding back the Holly Sue. But without any other monsters in hand, Holly Sue, as well as the Snow Devil, really aren't going to threaten us at all here. Okay, they did get back Caesar Valius, but they're still going to need another, like, attribute in hand, which they don't have access to right now. Because even if they bounced the Dr. Madlove, they did so with the Valius, and now, if they summon Holly Sue, now it's just going to be one attribute, the one Madlove in hand. Okay, looks like we're using Miracle Raven to tribute the Saji here to Ritual Summon, because we can exceed the number of stars, and of course this will trigger the Saji effect. Opponent's going to chain Ripper, however, to negate that. However, we can special summon our Pen-to-Scaled Nouvelles monster, adding the Fish Recipe Ritual spell. We're going to tribute the Miracle Raven to summon the level 1 Nouvelles, I don't know any of their names, and then we can add the Meat Recipe. Now we can excavate and try to look for a Nouvelles card, as well as adding any ritual monster from our deck to our hand. It looks like we're finally able to start accessing our engine, including the Angry Burger. Flipping cards off the top, we can add the Chef de Nouvelles from deck to hand, which is always important to remember is a Light Fiend. I don't know if we're actually playing Fiendsmith in this deck. It doesn't look like we are, but it is always an option, again, with the Chef being a Light Fiend. Now, we're already cooking enough with the Mitsurugis here as well. Alright, there's the Field spell. Poto's going to flip up Snow Devil. However, they're not going to be able to use, again, either of these effects of Madlove or Holly Sue, no matter which one they summon. Looks like they're not choosing to summon either of them here. Gonna activate the recipe book and get a draw off the field spell. It's gonna find us the Futsuno Mitama Mitsurugi. And we're gonna make the Sky Crisis, bouncing away the Ripper before passing our turn. Interesting. Okay, so we're all set up to finish them on the next turn here. They are going to get to search, however, for the Xiaolong, which gives them a fire monster to go with their dark. Now they can summon from deck off the Holly Sue. However, we are able to interrupt with our Chef de Nouvelles. And it looks like they're going to summon the Xiaolong as well. I think they're going to end up regretting this, though. So So Xiaolong gets put on the field, Holly Sue summons out the Raisin, and then Chef's gonna special summon here. Now the Chef can activate, bumping up the level of our ritual monster, and now we can start special summoning stuff because cards are being targeted, right? So here's the level 2 Nouvelles ritual. They're gonna add the Heavy Borger, and now we can pop their field spell, as well as continue to target and level adjust, which means we can continue to climb up our ritual summons here. Alright, now we're up to level 3. We can add the other ritual monster from deck to hand to pop the field spell, draw a card. They're going to go for Heavy Borger effect here, but we can simply continue to activate our effects of our Nouvelles ritual monsters to keep climbing up at a ritual summoning. Alright, we're up from 2 to 5 now. We get a search for a Nouvelles card. They're going to activate Rock in order to add a Vanquish Soul card back from graveyard to hand. It's going to be Xiaolong, and I believe they do have all 3 attributes in hand for the Caesar Valius now. Looks like they also have a Canine Lantern, which is going to activate here, reviving the Jokel. We can turn them both, or the Izuna, sorry. You can turn both to attack mode, and then, of course, we can continue to ritual summon. This time for the Belgril de Nouvelles, our level 6 boss monster, or one of them anyway, because of course we also have the option to go into Hungry Burger, or the retrain of Hungry Burger, the Angry Burger. There it is. And not only did we clear off our opponent's field, but we also burned them down to 350, pretty much securing the win right then and there. Huge turnaround from Nouvelles, defeating the Canine, the Vanquish Soul opponent. Well done, very well done. We have time for one more game. Let's finish off with that one. And our final game comes to us from Alternate, who is playing a variant of Orcust that is utilizing some of the new Dark Magician support, particularly the Dark Magician of Destruction, as well as the Dark Magician Girl, the Magician's Apprentice, in order to help boost consistency with the Shining Sark support. This, of course, will allow you to go into an early Dragoon, the Dark Magician of Destruction with the Gaze of Timaeus, that is. And again, we can use the Dark Magician Girl to help buff the consistency of getting that online, with her being a level 6 Dark Spellcaster for the Dark Magician of Destruction. Definitely makes a lot of sense. Magician Souls already plays very well with what Orcust is trying to do, and it all still plays under Dominus Impulse, so very eager to see how this one plays out. And for our opponent, it looks like they have a similar idea of utilizing the Dark Magician of Destruction with the regular Dark Magician here in a Draco Tail package. So, alright, let's see what we've got. Yeah, I've been meaning to try this out in the deck myself, this whole little Dark Magician of Destruction package here. Probably, I'm kind of thinking about maybe a Snake Eyes variant. Maybe even Snake Eye Yummy, who knows. But it requires very little commitment as far as your main and extra deck goes, so I can't really see much reason not to try it out at some point. Alright, they're gonna lead with the Apprentice Illusion Magician, as well as Dracotail Lucius. Now we get to fire off the Fuelos here, but they have Phimena Rahu as well. They're going to fuse Orgola in deck with Phimena in hand. Makes sense. They can go for Arthelion. And then they can not only activate Arthelion here, but they get to use Orgola in order to add back the Phimena. They're going to use Arthelion to add back the Fuelos. It's kind of interesting. And let's see what they set from deck. It's going to be Ketu and Flame. Makes sense. They're probably going to flip up Ketu right away. Or they're going to add back Phimena first, sure. Now that was off of Rahu, right? So they haven't used the Phimena fusion yet. But if they use it now, they won't really have a way to add it back because they've already used Arthelion and Orgola. So yeah, they kind of have to pass without doing much else. Alright, now here we can summon Dark Magician Girl, the Magician's Apprentice, searched off of the Future Silence. And not only that, but we got to discard the Orcus Crescendo, which can potentially search us a card in the very near future. Now, we're going to use the impulse on their Secrets of Dark Magic, which would have allowed them to fuse or ritual summon. More than likely fuse, though. And now we can send away our Dark Magician girl for the Dark Magician of Destruction. This can not only add the Magician souls, because we already have the Gaze of Timaeus in hand, but of course is also treated as Dark Magician while on the field, so we can go into Dragoons. Speaking of Dragoons, it looks like our opponent's going to summon that here as well, using 5 mana to fuse Pan with the Dark Magician that was already in the hand. So there goes our Dark Magician of Destruction. We're going to send away Cross-Out Designator for a draw, which is Harpor. Top deck Harpor is going to get normal summoned and then linked away into Galatea Eye. Galatea Eye gets to activate, discarding our Droll. It looks like our opponent's going to chain Dragoons, discarding their Fuelos in order to negate. We're going to activate the Gaze of Timaeus. They're going to flip up Dracotail Flame, which is to be expected. So at this point, our opponent's last interaction is whatever that face down card is, and potentially whatever they drew as well. Now here we can go Shining Sark. This let us add a copy of Gandora G, the Dragon of Destruction. We're going to special summon, and then we can destroy the whole field and revive our Dark Magician girl. After that, we're going to use the Harpor effect. Of course, our opponent's Dragoon is going to be left on the field because it cannot be destroyed or targeted by a card effect. What was that face down card they had anyway? Let's see here. It was... Was it just the Secrets of Dark Magic? It must have been. Alright, so we're cycling through some of our Orcust stuff here, reviving the Galatea Eye. We've dumped the World Wand. World Wand's going to revive the Nightmare. Now we can link away Galatea, Galatea Eye, and Nightmare into the Enlil Girsu. Does this target? It does not target, which means we should be able to take the Dragoons here. Yep. A pretty devastating turnaround here, which will have immediate consequences for our opponent as we swing in for lethal. Excellent. Very excellent way to wrap up that game there. Thank you to not only Alternate, but everybody who submitted for this week. We could not do this series without your submissions, so regardless of if you got featured or not, I really, really appreciate you showing up every week for the viewer special. And there's always the next week, of course. But thank you all for watching. Let's go ahead and move on now to our outro so we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.